Hello, 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 friends. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here again. It's the Lunar New Year. I hope you all are celebrating in your own way. It's the year of the rabbit, which I'm very excited about. I'm not a rabbit, but I've got some family members that are, and it's been good to celebrate in little ways, even though we're all spread out. And I hope that you take the opportunity to celebrate too. So, as we dive in and we're kicking off this lunar celebration, we've got an amazing guest joining us. And as always, I encourage you, ask questions, share your own experiences, because whenever we get together on Monday, New Year celebrations or not, it's still January. So, even if you don't celebrate Lunar New Year and you're just doing 2023 and however you want, it's a good time for us to take a moment to reflect on how we interact, how we view ourselves. It gives us a moment to say how we want to challenge, because so much of what we do becomes routine where we're just trying to survive. We're working on the next project. We're doing the next task. We're doing another load of laundry, right? It's again and again as we live through our life, but it's a series of small actions that we do and how we view ourselves and interacting with the world that gives us the power to change it. So I encourage you, when we hop in these conversations, see yourself in these talks, see how you live and engage in this gaming world, and recognize the power and strength you have to change it in your own way. And when we have our wonderful guests on, I encourage you to find inspiration from them, because these are women who have found ways to inspire us within this gaming space and are doing time and time again things that are absolutely amazing. And tonight's guest is no different. We have Arin Goldsmith with us this evening. So if you would all be ever so kind, please help me give a warm welcome to Arin.
Hi! Hello! Oh my gosh, so excited to be here. This is actually my first time ever live streaming on Twitch, so I'm so excited to be here. If you know me, hi, I'm Arin. I work at Blizzard as a talent marketing specialist, which means I do social media on behalf of the HR department. Uh, in my free time, I am a content creator on LinkedIn, and hopefully, you'll be seeing more of me on here soon. I really love to make content that is about giving career advice, specifically focused towards getting women in the gaming industry. So excited to be here and so pumped for this conversation.
I love this. And what a prime time. I obviously, within the time span of this and these past few recent weeks and maybe even months, there's been a bit of a shrinking of gaming jobs in other areas. And so to know, like, hey, how do I actually get into this area now that it feels like it's even getting more competitive? But needing this diversity, needing this variety of voices, of mindsets, and perspectives is so needed. And sometimes it's just hard to get into because we don't know the invisible rules or expectations that aren't written down somewhere, and yet it's all out there from the higher levels saying, like, of course you need to have this, of course you need to answer this way or dress this way or whatever it is. So having a guide like you is so welcome at this point. Now, you've had quite a journey to find yourself at Blizzard now. Can you tell us a little bit about this, because it's been quite a ride?
Yeah, okay. So I again, thank you so much. I am so so excited to be here. I have had by far probably one of the wildest career journeys of most people on the planet in general. I
I love that. Good
so
start.
a lot of people don't know this,
Mhm.
but I got my career start as a costume designer. From the time that I was 14 years old onward, all I wanted to do was I wanted to do costumes on Broadway. In fact, I packed up from my little Southern California home and I booked a I booked a flight to New York and I went to school there right when I turned 18 because all I wanted to do was do costumes on Broadway. Uh and I actually was very successful at it on
Mhm.
paper. I'm pinning on paper point of that. I got my first off-Broadway contract as a dresser when I was 20. I was doing it started as an internship for the off-Broadway production of Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish,
Oh.
and that turned into a dressing contract. And I thought it was I was having a good time and I was so excited because I was
Mhm.
finally able to live this dream that I had.
Mhm.
And then it turned out that I had to basically fight with the company to pay me minimum wage. because and it was kind of a tough pill to swallow because it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I've made it to almost the top at such a young age, and I figured like this wouldn't be an
Yeah.
issue, and it's like, oh, okay,
Hold on here.
wasn't expecting that, I guess.
My dream job
and
doesn't come with a dream salary, as it turns out.
yeah, yeah, and I just had like I knew like the pay wasn't super great. Like I knew regional theaters and whatnot. Are, and no, everyone knows there's no money in theater, but I kind of figured once I'm in New York and I'm paying New York rent, the salaries are going to be the contracts are going to be better. No, they were not.
Wow.
And then I got a couple more contracts, and it was a similar pattern where I basically had to fight with people in order to pay me what I was worth, and that led me to there were several times where I think this especially came as a woman, is that being demanding of what I'm worth, people thought I was too much, and I was being aggressive. And so there were other times I wouldn't get called for jobs because um the upper management were like, no, don't hire her, she always negotiates. And that was kind of like a wake-up call for me, because I was like,
when did negotiation become a bad word? Like, oh no, she wants
yeah,
a fair salary. Dang it.
yeah, and darn, she wants to be able to eat not cup of noodles for for dinner.
Yeah.
How
she would like to buy some
selfish.
fresh veggies for once. I don't know. Like, please.
So
yeah. I mean, we're laughing, but this is horrifying, right? Like, this is rent issues, it's food issues. And if you aren't having your basic necessities met, it's hard to enjoy the work that you love to do.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where, yes, these salaries are in the realm of possibility, but that would have required me to have worked at least 5 more years under these conditions. And like, I just did not have that in me. Like and I know like the Nepo baby conversation has been kind of a huge a huge thing.
Yes.
But that applies to behind the scenes too, because even then, like the other people that I was working with on these shows, their parents were all wealthy enough that they could pay for them to have rent and then some, or their parents were also celebrities or former famous athletes. And it was one of those things where I remember showing up and I was in like my fully like very thrifted, like not even cute thrifted, like it was like thrifted outfit. And a guy that I was working with, who I knew for a fact was getting paid the same amount that I was just in head to toe Michael Kors. And I was like,
how? Who are you?
You're either in severe credit card debt or something something else is going on here. And yeah, it turns out his mom is like very famous. So I was like, okay, that explains it.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy for you, but we are not in the same boat at all. Like these are two different experiences.
Yeah. But so basically while I was working out one of these contract gigs, I was working at a theater in Long Island, and I was like crying trying to finish a dress right before a show was about to open, and like having a breakdown. And the operations lead for the theater basically walked in and was like, hey, you're good at Instagram. For an extra $100 a month, do you want to run the company's social media? And I was
money.
like, I am 21 years old and very broke. I would love to do nothing more. And
in the middle of your crying fest, like, hold on.
In the middle of like, I'm like crying and bleeding on like this dress and like like putting literal blood, sweat, and tears into this.
Oh garment. My gosh.
I really like that's really where it all started. So in between me taking theater jobs and being in an undergraduate program and taking and basically just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life because my life was like in shambles. I started trying to everything in my power to get social media experience. And the way that I did that was I would find and I guess I should preface this with I've been on the internet for too long. Like I was like fully raised by the internet as like a small child. So like
disclaimer,
meme culture is fully embedded in my DNA. So I was like, well, I didn't have like the degree or training. Like I knew how social media worked. I knew how viral memes work. I knew how all that worked.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, how do I get into this? So what I would do is I would go on Groupon and I would I would find hairstylists and estheticians whose social media needed a lot of help. And I would message them and I would say, hey, I will trade you a full guide on how you should redo your social media if you do my hair or give me like a month's worth of facials. And that worked. That was how I built up my experience while I was in college.
That is a clever way. Also, totally undervaluing what you're offering them.
Correct. But I also just needed. There was time. Getting your hair done in New York is expensive.
That's fair. That's fair. I've never done New York's prices, but I'm hearing like you did a tailored playbook for them. Like that's people pay. Like that's a lot of money to go through and assess.
Yes, it is.
Compare, write content suggestions for them. A mood, a theme for them to go by, tone, writing. Like you did that and you're like, here for hair. Girl, you should be getting paid so much more.
Correct. But it was one of those things where it was like I just like needed that experience. Like I just needed to get that experience. And there was I'm a full believer in all internships should be paid, but there was like none of them were looking at me. None of them were looking at me. None of them were like you. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna figure out some way to do it anyway. So that was my solution to that. And so from there, I got another internship at a Facebook page. It was called womenworking.com. And the best way to describe it is content for the sake of content. Like, you know, like all those Facebook memes, like your distant family members share, like this if you remember what bratwurst was, yes. Heart comment if you prefer toast or something like that. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Toast. Like I was making like quite literally dozens of just these images a day and just posting for the sake of posting.
Okay.
And then that turned into a social media contract, and then COVID happened. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was COVID happened. So it was like, and I was also graduating undergrad at the same time. So it was like, oh God, okay, I have to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And then I got, I went on ZipRecruiter and I just like looked up marketing and I just applied to every single job that was on that list. Like I just was there. And then I got a call from this doctor, this fertility doctor, and she called me. She's like, "Hi, you applied on ZipRecruiter. Can you get me 10,000 Instagram followers?" And I was like,
"What?
Maybe. What are you what are you looking for?" And then I just like described like I'm like I do not remember applying to this position. I like really like quickly like Googled as she's talking to me, and then she like I'm looking at it. I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I would do. And this is like at like I should clarify. This is like at 8 p.m. on like a Friday, and like
a cold call, not even an interview. Just like, can you get me 10K followers?
Fully cold calling. This is the first thing I heard, and I'm just like talking through it, and she's just like, okay, cool. What rate are you looking for? And I was like, this, and I just like, I was just like, 70K. And she's like, cool. Let me call HR. And that's like more money than I have ever like conceived in my life. And then I get a call from like the HR the next day. It's like, hi, yeah, she wants to hire you. We'll send the contract over. We'll send the offer letter over tomorrow. And I was like, Oh,
No official
Okay.
interview. I mean, that's great. I'm happy for you. But
no, it's hilarious. It's so sketchy. And I started working there. And my official title when I got there was marketing assistant. And so it's marketing assistant. And I get there and I find out that I'm the entire marketing department.
So who are you an assistant for?
I don't know. The company, I suppose.
I don't think they know how job titles work.
No. Like, I was just like, hi, who do I report to? And no one responded to me because they're doctors and they're busy and they have to, do their job. And I was just like, okay.
Not an assistant. You are just the marketer, the only marketer in this building.
Yeah. So I did. So I did that for like a year, and that had a lot of issues. And fertility is not something I'm passionate about. Healthcare, I think, is wonderful and very important. Not something I'm passionate about or feel competent in any way.
Yes. Yes. Fair enough.
I drew so many pictures of sperm and eggs during my tenure of that because I was in that I was also kind of the graphic designer and I needed graphics. So I had to do that as well.
I'm sorry. I'm imagining you going to like being a guest lecturer in class, be like, I had to draw so many sperm and eggs. This is what you may not expect as being a social media manager somewhere.
Things you might see. Everyone thinks about like Duolingo and like all like the cool, sexy things that you can do as a social media manager. They don't talk about the 90% of other social media managers that also that have to do that.
Yep.
But that was so I now know way too much about IVF.
Yeah.
Just as a whole.
Yes.
And so I was not happy there for a variety of reasons. And so I decided to switch. So at that point, I got my second job, and it was doing marketing for a construction company.
Okay.
And I figured,
different
hey,
vibe.
if I could pick, very different. And that was like my first real experience of that was sorry, someone just slacked me and called out my beautiful sperm and eggs anecdote right now. But I was then I went to a construction firm.
Sure.
And I started that was a really interesting experience because that was my first real experience with like dealing with a male dominated industry because it was very clear from the beginning of that job that no matter what I said, I wasn't going to be listened to, and no one really cared about what I had to say at all. Like at my first job, they were crazy, but they in their own deluded way thought about what I cared about, what I had to say. This one, they did not. They wanted me to be pretty and sit in the corner and do presentations. And like just make little pretty PowerPoints and sit there and run them in the back. And it was super sketchy and super weird. I actually almost got fired from there my first 2 weeks because while the receptionist was out on lunch, they wanted me to answer phones in her place.
That's what? How?
Yeah.
Because your jobs overlap so much. And what? Is it because I'm hesitant to say, is it because you're the woman in the office and they just assumed?
Their justification was it was because of proximity. But that was not
what? Phones can be forwarded
because I was
you don't have to have them just okay.
No. Anyway, it was so that was a mess in that regard. And
sure.
I was like, I need to get out of here. This is like the first time I feel like completely unfulfilled in what I'm doing and I need to leave. So after about 6 months, I started interviewing again.
Yeah. Well, and the
and I
longer you
failed.
stay there, it really starts to reflect on how you view yourself. Toxic workplaces change
Yeah.
your own perception of what is my value? What can I offer? How do I interact with colleagues? Especially if they don't really see you as an equal peer. Instead, you're just the pretty girl with the PowerPoint.
Yeah, pretty much. That was it. I
hmm
was I was the I was the pretty one that people looked at in meetings. And the so I started interviewing, and that's when and I was looking and I was my goal when I was interviewing was I wanted to not take a pay cut, and that was my main goal, and I was looking to move closer to my family because I was in New York and I wanted to come back here in Southern California to be, with my family dog, because he's big and wonderful and I missed him.
We all love dogs. That's a
Um,
perfect reason to move back. Yes.
yes, and I missed the sunshine and I wanted to come back, and I was I started interviewing, and I realized pretty quickly that,
Mhm.
like, I was kinda this was where my lack of education in marketing kind of started catching up with me. Like, I kinda realized, like, I didn't know a lot of the very common, acronyms and slang that marketers used in interviews. So even though there was a lot of things that I was actively doing, like
Mhm.
saying, for example, like, tracking the amount of clicks clicks on your Instagram post in order to, track how many signups you had on your website. Like,
Yeah.
I was doing that, but I didn't know uh, the phrase, like, "Oh, did you use a UTM code, to track the, ROAS on
Oh,
the,
God.
through your CRM?" I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a whole
so
marketing language meant to make marketers sound much more exclusive from everyone else.
yeah. So I wasn't able to, like, properly sell myself or answer any questions. So what I did was I was like so I'd say after about, like, 10 embarrassingly failed interviews where I, like, was stumped mid-interview, I just took a step back and I looked at I I was like, "Okay, I need to do something about this." So I enrolled in a 6-month certification from Northwestern University in digital marketing because I
Mhm.
was like, I will never get into this club if I do not know what this is, and
Right.
I won't be able to get out of this hellhole in construction that
Yeah.
I'm currently in. And I so I did that, and it was so hard. It was the course, and if anyone wants to do marketing, I highly recommend this course. One of the hardest things I've ever done. It was way harder than undergrad for me. I was spending on top of my regular job, I was spending, like, 12 to 18 hours a week just on the assignments in this. So
Mhm.
that was a lot of work, but I learned so much and gained such a great portfolio in that time. And even throughout it, I was still, applying to jobs, and I was still trying to hopefully make that switch because
Mhm.
it was one of those things where my apartment lease in New York was up in July. I
So that's
started
your
the course
deadline.
in March, so that's my deadline. So I was really trying to figure it out so I didn't have to move back without, like, a job lined up.
Yeah.
Um, and I was really just I was taking so
Mhm.
and, like, rejection sucks. Like, getting rejected from jobs left and right sucks, especially when you're in a work environment that doesn't appreciate you and doesn't, view you as equal and wants you to answer phones,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't do that to the men who are equally close to the reception desk. Um, it very much gets to you.
And you were
Um,
very much isolated. Like your family isn't over on the East Coast either. So in terms of
no.
support, like you were, I mean, there's phone calls and whatnot, but there's something very different of being able to sit down with someone who can talk kindly to you and to support you and be there face to face. That's a very isolating and mentally tough situation to be in for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, very tough. Plus in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Can't go outside. Just kidding,
Can't yeah. And then like a month before I I had to move out, I got a message from a recruiter on LinkedIn like, "Hey, have you ever considered working at Blizzard? We have an opening and I think your skills would be a good fit." And I still have the screen cap of the Discord message that I sent my friends being like, "Hey, got a message from Discord. No fucking way I'm getting hired for that." And
The
it
message
was
of
kind of
hope.
crazy. Yeah, so
Okay.
it was so funny because I did my initial screening interview with the recruiter at first, and she was like, "Hey, I'll let you know if uh I'm gonna send your resume over to the hiring manager, and we'll let you know if it's a good fit. And we'll get back in touch with you." And I didn't hear anything back, and I was just like, "Okay, yeah, whatever, sure." And then on a Friday at like 6 p.m., I am drinking in a New York bar with some friends, and I get a call from the recruiter being like, "Hey, are you gonna hop on? Are you gonna hop on the interview call? Just wondering, making sure everything's good." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, you should have gotten the link." And I was like,
The what?
No, the what? The what? The huh?"
Did I miss an email
And
somewhere?
I was like, "What? What?" And
That's like a big moment of panic.
like fully beer in hand, like taking this phone call, and I was like, "Yeah, I did not get the email." And she's like, "Oh, so sorry. We just sent there was an issue in our forwarding system. Don't worry about it." But it was like one of the scariest moments of my life because I was just like like not
yeah. Well, that
not
moment,
prepared.
well, you thought you're like, okay, this is ridiculous. I got this message from them, and then like you have that hope, and then to think you blew it just by not showing up.
Yeah.
You're like, let me blow it my own way, not like this, not like this.
Let me ruin myself.
Yes. Let me just say a few words.
But it was all good. It was totally fine. And then I had my interview with my hiring manager, and it was shout out to Amy. If you're watching this, you might be. I don't know. Amy is the best manager in the world. To
No bias at all.
to not biased
No.
in the slightest, but she's like just the nicest, kindest person. And I really vibed with her during our interview, and I got such a warm, welcoming impression, and she was so receptive to my ideas, and I was like, "Okay, this is a really good sign." And then I had and then so it's so funny because after that one, I got another email that was like, "Hey, so the hiring manager liked you. We want to schedule some more interviews. What's your availability?" And then I was like, "Oh, I'm free from 3 p.m. to 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. On Friday." And then they were like, and I was like, "Oh, and then I have like an hour block on Monday." They blocked the entirety of that on Friday, so all of my interviews were during like a 3-hour block, like
back to back.
5 interviews in a row, and they were all in a row. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is so many interviews." But the thing was, every single person was great. Like, it felt like I was just kind of having a conversation with people, talking about like what I wanted to do, how much I loved Blizzard in the past, how much I really resonated with the games, and how much I loved the community, and how much I really wanted to be a part of sort of bringing the magic back, really. And it's been like, and even still, even after my last interview, I was still just like, there's absolutely no way. I don't have any gaming experience. I'm coming from a dinky company of 100 people. This isn't gonna happen. And like at the same time, like I applied for, I was in the running for another job, and it was content marketing for a construction product rental company. I was like, on paper, I am the absolute best fit for this job humanly possible. There's no way I'm not going to get this job. And then I just didn't. So I was like, there's no way I'm getting this one.
There's how does the long shot work, but not this one?
Yeah, and then I got the call, and it's like, hey, we'd love to offer you the position. And I like fully just started crying in the middle of like the Times Square, which is where I was, because I was going to a yoga class, and I was just like,
I feel like this is a movie scene where like the camera pans around you and it just is all a blur and you're just crying with tears running down your face as you get the good news that your life is about to change.
Yeah, and even better, I literally had 3 weeks left on my lease at this point. And so it's like, and it was just like, yep, you're good. We are fully paying for your relocation.
What?
See you in a few weeks. Yep. So I went from being fully like looking at my bank account being like, okay, I can do this, but it's gonna suck, to like,
here we go.
Oh my God, I don't have to sell all my stuff.
Again, another moment where we can laugh because you didn't have to, but like that, the potential of the saddest story arriving at your doorstep of having to sell everything just to move back home was so real. Yeah. 3 weeks is not a lot of time, especially when you're thinking of like job hiring. Some companies take months on end to get back to you, and it's not any of their fault. Sometimes there's a lot of things that happen behind scenes, but that puts a lot of pressure on you to think like, how am I going to get things working for me? And the fact that this all aligned so well, that Blizzard moved quickly through it, they reached out to you, they offered this relocation package, like that is such a relief.
I know, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like I become like super cynical at this point. Like nothing works out for me. It's like, it's just not going to happen. And it's just like,
right.
Okay, maybe it does. Maybe it does.
See, I hear your story. You touch into this cynicism, but I don't see that in you. When I'm hearing your story, no. I keep hearing of like, here's what I got to do to make this work. Like, you're having trouble making rent. All right, I'm going to just start doing this social media for $100 more. I'm going to start taking all these salon hair accounts and working on those while I'm also in class. I'm going to keep doing this job, and I'm also going to work on my, 6 months crash course through digital marketing. Like, you, in moments where I'm sure, you may have thought like, why am I doing this? And we have our down moments, but you kept finding ways of, what do I need to do next? I think this is the right phrase, is what can I do?
Yeah.
And that is an amazing thing and hard thing to push ourselves to do.
Yeah, I think one of the like best tools and best things that I consider myself almost blessed with has been just self-awareness. Mm-hmm. Because even when it sucks, like there are times that I wish I was a little more delusional.
This is fine. I love being on fire.
It's very much like I really try to make the most of any situation. Even if I don't like a situation, I like to be like, okay, why don't I like this situation? What can I do to change it? What about this is making me uncomfortable? Realistically, what can I do about it? And obviously there's a lot of times when there are factors like other people. And sometimes I'm like, even if we're just talking about hiring, like you reach a point where it's like, okay, I'm the common denominator here. Why am I not getting hired? Even though like my resume is getting picked up, I'm getting all these interviews. Why does no one want to hire me? So I think really having that time to like look in the mirror and take a real honest look at yourself and the mistakes that you're making, and just really analyzing those decisions that you've made for yourself can be so helpful in terms of progressing and getting to where you want it to be. And it hurts and it sucks and and like you might cry a little bit, but like it's very necessary.
You might cry a lot of it.
You might, because if you want to stop crying, you need to cry a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and it's okay to cry. It's okay to have that expression of it. The challenge is how do you move forward? And I love that you're moving forward took a big moment to say, I need to reflect first. I need to look back and say, what is going on? And that's tough. It's really funny. It lines up perfectly because I was just talking to my students today about the importance of reflecting over projects and things that you've done. And even when things do go well, what worked? Why did it work? So that way you can continue on doing those things. And Like, I'll be honest, I would have definitely cried if interviews stopped, like, in the mid-interview. Like, okay, we know this isn't the right fit. Like, that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
And it's, like, I get that it's meant to be polite to save each other's time, and it gives you a chance to really flag and identify what you can improve on, but it doesn't feel good at the moment. It doesn't.
Yeah, no. It's super it sucks. Is the best way.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's the end of it. But it sucks, but then it doesn't.
Yes.
And that's life.
Yes.
Really.
Well, and this is where I admire your strength. And that's where that self-reflection is, where you took that and you turned it into something. And a lot of people, like, for a lot of us, like, even as thrilled notes, like, sometimes it's enough for us to say, like, I want to give up. And that's okay, too. Sometimes that's where we hit the door and, like, okay, then these are not doors that I want to try to go through anymore. But with your determination and realizing you have a talent in this area, well, I don't want to say talent, I'm going to say skill, because you really developed this. You found this and you worked hard, and I don't want to demean that work that you put behind it to make yourself successful, because that's what you did. You did all the time, the effort, the studying, the challenge, the learning to make that work for you. And that is impressive. That's the journey part that just is so inspiring, because we get down so much, and downs look different for everyone, right? But how much stress was on your shoulders, you are a beacon of just inspiration to say, I'm going to keep finding this next thing. And it did work out for you. You found this great place, a Blizzard, where you're at right now. Your posts seem happy. And now you're in this process of sharing back about it. And that's really wonderful. And that's why I loved that you're here with us sharing these stories, and your career choices and how you went through it, because that's hard to share, because you had to learn it all kind of the hard way.
Oh, 100%. Like, it's another thing that's been kind of fun about my career journey is and I think I had references for the jobs that I had in theater. I have never gotten a job through a referral ever. And I think and I didn't know until recently in the corporate world that was kind of uncommon.
Yeah.
And by kind of uncommon, I mean very uncommon.
Yes.
And almost everyone knows each other, and it's super hard to get in another way. So even the biggest thing that I've gotten through my career has just been trying to figure it out and trying to navigate corporate kind of on my own, because I didn't even like when I talk about my parents, and I love my parents very much. They're wonderful people, and they have a super great dog who I love, who's in the backyard over there. And my dad was a police officer, and my mom works at a school. So they were able to provide me a lot. They helped me a lot with my college education, and they helped me with moving and giving me some really great life advice. But in terms of nepotism, they provided none. So I had to really like figure it out on my own. And a part of the reason why I wanted to make content why I started making content is because I had a lot of people who I saw that were similar to me, who had a lot of questions and wanted to know about how they could do it themselves. And I think a really big problem in the industry and a lot of the corporate world is people tend to get in and then they shut the door behind them, which isn't helpful or good, or I don't know. Because the thing is, there's
yeah, no, I was like what the heck, man? You just walked through there.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of talent that's out there, and some of that talent maybe isn't there yet. Maybe they haven't taken the right classes that they need to, or they haven't even considered that they need to take more classes, or they just need a few years. Like, if it's an artist, maybe they just need to practice a little more, and they need to know a little bit more about how to better rig their own models and how to specifically make art for games. Or if they're someone who's a super talented software engineer, but maybe they haven't coded a game yet, and maybe they don't even know how to get started in that. I think there's just so many talented people who can make some really, really great games or lead some really great campaigns or great initiatives in the future who are stuck answering phones at a construction company right now. There's probably thousands of them. So I want to make sure that they have a fighting chance. I want to really help people get the jobs that they actually want. And maybe it'll take them a while, but like I think just helping put people in the right direction
Mhm.
is something that's really important and something that like brings me a lot of joy.
Right. Well, and right now, let's note like the pandemic was almost a bit of an awakening within the job force for people to say, you know what, I don't want to go back to waitressing or I don't want to go back to this job. And this was a time for them to reinvest in themselves and to look and say, how do I up my career? How do I change my portfolio? And trying to figure out where that begins or what that looks like for different industries is hard. And the gaming industry in particular seems like a weird enigma, right? Like there's the pathways into it feel like it's a maze that constantly changes. And trying to figure out how to follow others through that can be difficult. So the fact that you're helping to produce guides out there to people that want to change their jobs. And if you're happy where you are, that's fantastic. That's great. It's the goal is helping others to find that same path where they are, where they want to be as well.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, a lot of people, like, if people want to work at Blizzard specifically, amazing, great. I'd
Mhm.
love to help you. All of my tips apply for Blizzard, but a lot of the things that I post also apply for pretty much not even just gaming. Sure, they
Mm.
apply for other gaming industries. The biggest thing is I just want people to find jobs where they're happy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not at Blizzard. Maybe that's at another game company, or maybe that's in another industry entirely. But it was actually so heartwarming. I got a message on LinkedIn the other day from someone who actually just got their first job as a game producer because he was inspired by one of my
Aw.
posts. So I was like, "Oh my god, I did it! Oh my god, I did it!"
Screenshot that message. Save that.
Yeah, I did.
You're
This
like,
is my this
yes.
is my first one. I did it. Um, but yeah, I just like
Yeah.
even then talking to a lot of women, um, and specifically, um, a lot of women that I've talked to didn't know that they didn't know about a lot of these options and job titles and 50 billion career paths that exist in the gaming industry alone. Because a lot of people that I talk to as well think
Mhm.
that gaming is for artists and engineers, and I was kind of the same way. Even when I wanted to do
For sure.
when I was going into costuming, a big reason for that is I've always considered myself like an artist above everything else, but I'm not technically gifted enough to like make game art as we see it.
Mhm.
And so it was like, okay, guess that career path's off the table for me. And I didn't even know that didn't even know that there was like, oh yeah, there's quite literally tens of thousands of jobs in the gaming industry that
There
are
are whole
not that.
companies.
Yeah. That do other company things. Like if a job exists at Google, it probably also exists in the gaming industry.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a really good way of putting it. And I love that you focus on women and helping because early on you were told, like, you're too aggressive, you're asking to negotiate. And that's a very intimidating space, especially for women or people of color to be advocates for themselves can oftentimes be discouraged, whether it's in the actual negotiating space when it should happen or even beforehand where we think like we shouldn't ask. We should just be happy that, oh my gosh, this company reached out to me and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely a huge advocate for advocating for yourself. I think because at least something that, like at a healthy company, the
Mm-hmm.
worst thing someone's gonna say to you is no.
Right.
Like at Blizzard specifically, one of my favorite things about my job is I get to go to a lot of events and I get to help with event coverage and for social purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to go to every event that I've asked to go to. Like I was like, "Hey, to anyone watching this, Activision Blizzard has a super great program. It's called Level Up University. It's basically a program, and the last cohort was for software engineers looking to become game developers specifically, where we take it's 12 weeks fully paid, where we
So good.
take people who already have skills in a certain area, and at the end of it, they pop out ready for associate level positions. So almost pretty much everyone in that program is now working as a developer at Blizzard or Activision right now. They had a graduation for event for that which was in Santa Monica at a super nice hotel.
Aw.
And I was like, yep, that is something which I think I could provide some helpful content on, and I want to go. And I asked, and they were like, yeah, sure. Go.
See, that's the amazing part. They're like, yes, let's do this. That's the best
like,
thing you can hear at a company.
You should have gone anyway. Like, why weren't you already on there? Go.
Yeah.
But yeah, super great. There's probably gonna be some announcements pretty soon for the next class of LUU. So keep an eye out on Blizzard socials. Just a heads up for everyone watching.
If those of you are looking, keep an eye out. Yes. Yes. Well, okay. We mentioned this off screen, and I wanted to bring this up because obviously some individuals are aware of this if they wanted to apply to Blizzard, and you even considered this yourself, is that Blizzard right now, of course, is going through some issues with Activision as well, the lawsuit with the state of California. There were a series of articles that also revealed some troubling implications about the culture of Blizzard quite some time ago, right? And as you worked through this, how did you decide, yes, I want to work here? And why is this a culture where you think like, yes, I would encourage others to join me here?
So the thing was, I was fully cautious when I first applied. I read the news and I was nervous. I just came from another male-dominated company where no one respected me and no one cared what I had to say. I was like, is this what I want to do and what I want to go into? And like,
yeah,
I've played Blizzard games since I was around. Actually, I can tell you exactly since when. Since I was 13 years old.
You have your Blizzard
I got my
account?
First job ever. I got my first job ever at a petting zoo when I was 13, and I got the job so I could buy Diablo 3. That is why I got that job.
True gamer.
All I wanted to do was buy it.
I worked to play games.
Big girl game. Exactly. But the thing was, I was apprehensive, but the thing was, I looked at the recruiter, and I was talking to the recruiter through my screener, and she was so nice, like the nicest person ever. Monique, if you see this eventually, you were so nice. You're such a great recruiter. But she was wonderful, and I was like, okay, yeah. I'm gonna go to my second one, and then I had my second interview with Amy, who, as I said, wonderful, best person ever. And I was like, okay. And then I had another interview with Amelia, who's on the communications team. Never vibed with someone so much. She's so wonderful, has great jokes, incredible sense of humor. And I was like, and none of them, every single person that I talked to took all of my concerns. Like when I brought this up, they took them all super seriously. And all of them, and because everyone that I was talking to was so wonderful, it was like, okay, they deserve a shot. Like, this is, like, if I get this is, I've talked to so many great people at this time. I did 7 interviews before I did that, and every single person that I talked to was wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I had, like, every person I was with, I had a wonderful conversation with, and they all, and a big thing, as I said, when I was interviewing and getting rejected all the time, is so many people were super condescending towards me, either because of my lack of experience, or they're like, hey, you're coming from construction, what are you doing there? And I had to, like, basically nicely be like, hey, I'm being paid to look pretty and make PowerPoints. And, like, try to get around that in the nicest way possible. Right. And they're like, whereas that was not something here. Like, everyone took me very seriously during my interviews, and they were, like, listening to me and listened to, like, the strategies that I proposed and whatnot. And I was like, okay, if this is who I'm working with, I'm okay with that. And then I started working there, and everyone that I've worked with has been absolutely wonderful. Like, I've had nothing but absolutely amazing experiences. It's like every single idea I've had, everyone has been open to it, has been super receptive, even if something's not 100% my best. No one is my best work. No one's a dick about it, really.
Yeah,
I get
that helps.
and even when people give me feedback on
Mhm.
something, it's very much like they know that it's like, okay, it's my job. Your job is to give the idea. It's my job to give me feedback. I'm not going to be awful to you because you needed feedback because I know that it's my job to give you feedback.
Yeah.
So, which is super healthy and has almost never
Yes.
happened to me before.
Feedback should
Uh,
happen. That's how we
yeah,
grow, and we have those checks on those things. So that way you can continue to produce ideas. And I like that what we're hearing is one, they were clear and transparent. They weren't trying to hide. Yes, we know this is something that's going on. And that they were also in action during the interviews and afterwards, following up with actual behavior. Like they're listening. They're not talking
yeah,
over you. They're not condescending. They're listening to your ideas. They can offer feedback in a way that is actually helpful. Like that is hard to find in any kind of company.
yeah.
So that's
Um,
a really good relief to hear.
yeah, and even with our HR and D&I teams, I've seen a
Mhm.
lot of work behind the scenes, and a lot of people are doing a lot of work, even just
Yeah.
beyond Blizzard, to just see a better gaming industry as the whole, and to see one that is more open and accepting of all kinds of people. And I think it's been
Mhm.
really amazing just to see how passionate and how much love is going uh into the change I'm seeing. And it's been really it's like heartwarming to see just how much people care about being better.
Yeah. Well, and this is kind of it probably came as a very big wake up call because of course what was going on both in Activision and Blizzard, two separate places, right? In these cases, and even the departments themselves are huge. What happens in one department doesn't necessarily mean it happens in another department. But to have this wake up call happen probably allowed a lot of individuals who were already passionate about it, had ideas and wanted to produce change, now to have those pathways forward to get more yeses on board. And that's ultimately what it sounds like you're hearing, is that people have passion. They want to see more diversity. You're starting to see more of those changes come around. Is there a particular program or action that's happening at Blizzard that you particularly are excited about that helps produce the changes that you think are necessary and you'd like to see, not just at Blizzard, but in the gaming industry as a whole?
Yeah, well, definitely my favorite one is by far
Mhm.
LUU, as I talked about, Level Up University, and that's that program that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been really, really incredible because a lot of the people that are in this program are women and people of color and people who like this might not have been an opportunity that they would have had if not for this program. Because again, it's so hard
Yeah.
to break into the gaming industry, especially in the development side mid-career when maybe you don't want to sacrifice salary at that point.
Mm,
And
that's
it's
fair.
something and just be it's hard. Uh and so just being able to see the investment and like seeing the company really put their money where their mouth is and invest in emerging talent
Hmm.
um has been really incredible to see. In addition to that, I've just been seeing I work a lot with the employee research groups, so we have, like, one of the groups that I've been actually, you know what? Well, our employee resource groups are absolutely wonderful. They're a really great method for support and finding mentorship in others. But something that launched recently, which was super great,
Hmm.
was, they just launched a mentorship program across all of Activision, Blizzard, and King, so you can buddy up and find mentors who are senior than you, or people who are more senior can find mentees. So that's been super uh, a super great initiative because right now my mentor he's one of the marketing heads for Call of Duty, and it's been so great just in the few conversations that I've had just to like
Yeah.
talk to him and meet him and hear about his career path and what you should do. And like, it's just a really great opportunity to meet some of these people who I might not have had the opportunity to otherwise and being like my
Sure.
into my little baby job with my little dinky career, coming in
Don't
coming in here being like, hello.
don't diminish. Sometimes, especially smaller companies, don't have a lot of resources. So you got to make a lot work with very little, especially if you don't have buy-in from management. It's just like, I am pulling teeth to make magic work online for you. So dinky is not it.
I tell people, I tell people my job has never been easier. Do you know how easy it is to make a campus that has a museum and character statues and a game room and a full cafeteria with amazing food and a Starbucks? Like, how
Here's all the free
and like
content.
events once a week, and like we just had our holiday party, which had a full drone show of like all of the franchises. And it's like this is like
A dream.
you guys make it so easy for me. Thank you.
But that's what you're looking for, is a company that supports you, that works on itself as much internally as it does externally. And that's hard to do. And especially the larger the company, there's always going to be caveats. But I love this mentorship program that you mentioned. Do you see a lot of individuals reaching down, or is it typically in that process of mentees wanting to find mentors in this? Because I'm interested to know, like, what is that typical flow? I know as someone who would be brand new, I'd be like, I don't know if I could ask this person. Would they even say yes to me?
So it's super nice because it's like its own little program. So
Mhm.
like it's almost like it feels like it's like LinkedIn quick apply is the best way I would describe it.
Okay.
So like there'll be like a list of mentors, and all of them like
Yeah.
have their lists open. They're like, hey, here's who I am, here's the amount of mentors I'm accepting right now. And then
Oh.
they're like and so like I saw two people I liked, and then I was just like click click, and they're both like, yeah, sure, I'll set up the meeting. And I was like, great.
Wow. I like that it's such
Yeah.
an easy process, because me, like, trying to figure out how to craft an email without sounding like overly polite and beggy would it would annoy me and also frustrate me for way longer than it should.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I really love here is like a huge part of my job is that I get to interact with so many people across all departments, because
Mhm.
I uh I really want to make sure that all of our teams are being highlighted and all of our folks are. So I just get to talk to so many super great people that I normally wouldn't think to. Like I've met so many great artists and animators and developers that I would have never met before.
Yeah.
Uh and one of my favorite ways, and I advise this to anyone looking to network with anyone in the gaming industry, is to like start with a compliment. Like if I see someone like who just worked on Dragonflight or something, and if I'm running around and I notice, damn, that's a really cool furnace with a really nice texture. Who made that furnace? Like I'll go to a prop artist and
Aw.
I'll like take a screenshot and I'll send it to like the art director. I'll be like, who made this? And he'll be like, this guy. And then I'll just send them a little compliment, like, hey, this is so pretty, great job. And
Mhm.
I've been able to make a lot of friends that way, just by just letting people know that I appreciate their work.
It's funny
But
how
yeah,
such a
it's
small
been
action has a big impact, but I would love to receive an email like that. So sending that out sounds like a brilliant idea.
yeah, no, it's been like, even with my own posts, I get
Mhm.
so many messages all the time from just random people across the company being like, "Hey, love that post. Great, great. Thank you
Aw.
for putting that out there." And I'm like, "That's so nice. Thank you."
That's good to see kind of that, because it can be hard to connect with people in different spaces. So to have that is good. Now, I'm sure you're not supposed to have favorites, but do you have a favorite team? Out of all the
Uh,
ones that you gather stories from and content, I'm curious, is there one they're like,
I'm
they are nailing it. They give me content all the time. They're happy to let me take pictures of them. They give me good quotes. There's always something going on. I love what they're doing. Do you have a favorite? Or is this something
okay.
like, I can't, they're all
So
my
I'm gonna
children?
start, and I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna say my favorite thing about each of the teams. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm gonna this, and then I'll tell you what my favorite is. But I'm gonna start by saying my favorite thing about each of the teams. So I love World of Warcraft because uh people and developers on that team have been always so welcoming. They don't care when I walk into their office and I'm just like, hey, I'm here to take pictures. They're always like, hi, Arin. And they always come and say hi to me, even though I'm like a weirdo with my little phone camera, just like going around taking pictures.
Looking like a
being
tourist.
nosy. Yeah, being nosy and weird. And they're all just super nice and always looking to include me and always message me whenever things are happening.
Yeah.
I love Diablo because it was my first big girl game, and that will always have a place in my heart. And I'm as the little having a little goth streak in me. That's where my heart is on that end. And I think they have some of the coolest. I can't talk too much about D4, but June 6th, you better be downloading it. But it's such a neat game and such a neat franchise and so innovative, and they're doing so many really great and innovative campaigns and initiatives with the franchise, which I think is really exciting. Overwatch, so near and dear to my heart. They make my favorite characters ever and ever. I have my Widowmaker statue and my Soldier 76 statue are back here, and then I have my little Lucio pillow.
Your own art gallery and starting. Yeah,
my little gallery. I love all of the characters in Overwatch and how much passion and love and like how just fun all of the characters are. And just the design is incredible. I also love all of the maps. Oh wait, let me plug another Blizzard perk really quick. So for our holiday gift this year, we got our Blizzard. Oh wait, I need to take it out of the box. We got our. I am out of focus now. We got our Blizzard World pin set. So it's a bunch of pins, and it's in the Blizzard World map from Overwatch.
Okay, that's cool. That's really cool.
So it's super duper neat. So we get holiday gifts every year. So if you want to work, if you need a reason to apply to work at Blizzard, there's one.
Unique collectibles. That's what I'm hearing here.
Yes, tons of collectibles. But I love Overwatch a lot as a franchise, and Hearthstone is so much fun. They're such a nice little team, and I adore them and all of their. I've actually never played Hearthstone. I think all of the people that I've met on Hearthstone, I do love them. Everyone on their team is so nice. They're all just such nice, wonderful people, and they do such fun, creative things with their marketing. And I love all the memes that they put on Instagram. Follow Hearthstone; they make really fun Instagram memes.
We don't play the games, but we watch the memes. The memes will get us to play the games. It's a stepping stone.
The memes, we're here for the memes.
Yes. Yes.
But so my favorite game is Overwatch. That's
your favorite. Got it.
That's my favorite.
Not oriented to the teams. You're just like, here's where I am right now. Fair enough. Yeah, that's okay.
That is my it's my favorite game. I'm very sorry, guys. So sorry to everyone else. I still love you, but
it can be a competition. You can win over her love, okay? Just try harder.
You have to. Well, okay. So Overwatch also just gives me the most swag and stuff, and I just acquire the most swag from Overwatch. So
is that where you got your current jacket?
Yes. Get on it.
Come on, everyone else. Diablo should have some cool like horn headsets. Come on.
Exactly. I don't have any Diablo stuff actually, which is shocking. And so sponsor me, Diablo.
Come on, Diablo. We have one request.
I would love to plug your stuff. I would do it in a heartbeat. Come on.
It's for social media.
Exactly. I need to look cool. I do also have a lot of Warcraft stuff.
Fair.
But I think in just sheer capacity, and also just because I bought so much of this on my own. Like I bought that Widowmaker statue and on eBay. Like I bought that myself.
I mean, Widowmaker is pretty badass looking, so I can totally understand why.
Yeah, I mean, so I used to cosplay a whole lot. I don't
Mhm.
anymore, but my last cosplay that I ever did was Widowmaker. So, like,
I could see it. I could see
near and
it.
dear to my heart. Yeah.
And I feel like with your background of being in gaming and costume design aligns for like the perfect lead-in to cosplay. I'm surprised. Is it just like, not right now, it's not my time, or not quite the inspiration that I'm looking for yet? Will it
Well, I
will you
just, like
return?
I can see myself returning.
Mhm.
BlizzCon 2023 maybe.
There we go.
So we'll see. We'll see for that. But I honestly it's been well, when I went to college, I was stuck in a tiny New York apartment
Mhm.
and like you can't really like sew or ingest poisonous fumes from spray paint in a
What?
tiny in yeah, I know. In a tiny New York apartment. So I like took a break from that and for a little bit.
Mhm.
Um,
All I hear are
but I'm it's
excuses.
I know. It's definitely in the cards again
Mhm.
in the future.
I'm imagining
Just
at
gotta
BlizzCon 2023 when you're trying to take pictures of other people for social content and they're just taking pictures of you because you're in cosplay. Like it's gonna be
yeah,
like the
like I'm just gonna be like
Spider-Man meme.
wobbling. Yeah, like I'm just gonna be like wobbling in my foam armor, and they're just like, I'm like, excuse me, can I get a picture of you? And they're
It'll be perfect. It'll be perfect. I love that. Okay, so you get to go to all the cool events. When you are not at events, what does your day look like?
So, okay. So I usually start my day. So I have some really fun day in the life videos, which you could watch on my LinkedIn page if
Right.
anyone watching is interested.
Are they on your
Usually I
TikTok
start
account too? Sorry to
I
interrupt.
have a couple on my TikTok. Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
all good. I do have a couple on my TikTok account,
Okay.
which I actually need to keep posting again because I took a break and I haven't wanted to start posting again. So I need to like knock myself back into that. So follow me on TikTok to comment on my posts. Post again, you loser. So that way I know that I can start
As a
I
reminder,
need to start posting again.
we
Just
need
as a
more
little reminder.
content.
Okay. I know. Yeah. So I do have some so basically I usually start my day. I like roll out of bed
Mhm.
and I make myself some coffee and then I
Yeah.
frantically turn on my laptop to get on to my Zoom meetings. 'Cause I'm usually on a Zoom meeting by 8 a.m.
Wha
because a lot of my coworkers are based in the UK.
Oh, okay.
So they're like ending their day. So most of the time, hashtag gamers don't get up and before 10 a.m., but not me. I am up bright and early. And I I usually have to so I'm usually on a call at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
and I usually stay on calls until around 11 a.m. And just because I'm usually talking with a bunch of different teams, finding out what the needs are, finding out what our different initiatives are, where I can source content. Those are usually my meetings.
Mhm.
Talking with my bestie Danny from Activision about all of our social plans for what we're doing. Shout out to Danny. She also makes really great LinkedIn content. Be sure to follow her, Danielle Burkhardt. And plug. But usually I do that, and then I'll spend some time.
Mhm.
Usually, this is a work from home day, so usually I'll take some time either editing pictures or editing video, just prepping for content, making sure things are good, as well as developing
Mhm.
any campaign or deck ideas I have in the meantime, and then I take some time to actually schedule everything out, look at what our analytics are across the platforms that I run, and then make sure that I'm like doing a good job with my content and my content is actually performing.
Yeah,
And then whenever
like
I need
measuring
breaks
it.
in there, I usually just log into my accounts, interact, do some community management, interact with everyone on there, uh, make sure people are happy, and then usually somewhere in there, I'm like in Slack annoying the entirety of the company asking for dog pictures, typically. Like, "Hey, who wants their dog featured on the scout?" And they're like, "Okay, me," and everyone's super cool about it.
Aw.
Um, honestly,
Everyone loves dog
that's probably the
pictures.
most Yes.
Yeah. Now
Honestly, that's probably the most useful skill of my life is just having the audacity to just like message the entirety of the company asking for dog pictures.
Give
'cause
me
that's,
content.
like, hello.
There she is, asking for more dog pics. When will there ever be enough? Never.
Never.
Keep them coming always. Okay, so just
Exactly.
behind the scenes details, and I don't know if you can share this, but what are some of the programs you use for your job? Like, are there certain social scheduling tools, or do you use Photoshop or Adobe? Like, for people like, I want to do more of this, what are tools that more and more people like?
Cool. Okay, so for our scheduling, we use I use Sprinkler. I have never used Sprinkler before this job. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
Okay.
about having access to Sprinkler. But some of the most helpful tools that I use, like in my day-to-day, like personal content creation, Canva is the best thing that has ever happened to social media in the world. Best thing in the world. Learn Canva. Learn
the free
Canva
account
if
you can do so much with. The paid is wonderful
it's
too.
Been so great.
Yeah.
Highly worth it. I edit all my videos in CapCut 90% of the time. I'll edit it in CapCut. I love CapCut so much because one of my favorite things is I love making super hype edits of really mundane things, like the kind of videos that like a teenage boy makes of his car, but like I do it for like the Starbucks drinks we have at the caf.
Yeah, zoom in, high intense energy music. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like that's my
you have a
thing
style.
And CapCut is great for that. If you need to practice editing, and it's totally free.
Also
Premiere
nice.
Rush is also a great free video editing tool if that's something that anyone needs help with. I also do use Photoshop if I need to like adjust any coloring or anything on any pictures, or if I'm really lazy, I will straight up just use Facetune.
Fair enough.
Because they have a filter on there, and the beautiful thing about Facetune is you can kind of just erase. So if like I have a picture that isn't like gamer light-y enough, they have a great blue filter which you can just kind of like up
those gamer neon lights that are everywhere.
Exactly. Like they just gotta turn up the pro gamer levels on this Instagram post. But yeah, it's super great.
These are like the tools to know, because there's so many out there. There's so many that are free and so many that are paid or have restrictions on them. Knowing which ones to spend your time, and it's good to know. And I'm glad you're like, Sprinkler works for you, but from what I've seen, a lot of scheduling ones are pretty similar across the board. So if you learn one, most are the same.
Yes. Sprinkler is like super expensive and it's great for giant companies. Do not worry about it if you're like a new social media manager or looking for like a free like a scheduling solution for your personal posts or anything. Hootsuite is great for personal accounts. When I post on LinkedIn, I don't schedule anything. I always just post it. Like I have like a Google Doc where I write all my posts, and then I just have my pictures on my phone, because the thing is like on LinkedIn, a huge part of what makes a successful post, and a huge thing that I like, is I always try to respond to all my comments, because on one end, it's good for the algorithm too. I like talking to people that follow me. A lot of people usually have questions, and my inbox is flooded. My inbox, like, I'm very sorry if anyone has watching this has tried to message me in the past, like, ever, because I have quite literally 4,000 unread messages.
Oh my gosh!
In perspective, I started posting to LinkedIn in July. Like, that is how much has accumulated since July. And I
would never be able to log in at that point.
I try. And the thing is, like, I genuinely, like, tried for a while, but the thing is, like, it's just, like, I cannot. So catch me in the comments section if you need anything. I'm sorry.
That's so strange.
It's...
Okay, your email inbox doesn't look like that, right?
No, my email inbox is fine.
Okay.
No, my email, I'm good, and I'm on top of my emails. And
okay.
It's great.
I just know some people live that wild life and I don't understand it and it stresses me out. Like they're the same people who leave everything like on their desktop, like everything's saved to their desktop and there's like 400 icons on their desktop, or they have all their tabs still up. And I like when you said like there's 4,000 in your inbox in LinkedIn, I'd be like, I don't know how you even see that number and be like, I'm not stressed.
Oh no, it's very stressful. It's just like I do my best.
Yeah.
Like for like to try. So one LinkedIn's like bookmarking system
Mm-hmm.
isn't super great in general, but like
That's a nice way of
because
putting it.
of my because well, also because of my job and because of the way my job title sounds. A lot of people assume I'm a Blizzard recruiter when I'm not. So I get a lot of unrelated messages, and
Okay.
I would love nothing more than to be able to point every single person in the right direction and every single person into the exact specific way that they need to go, but I just I physically cannot. There are times where I get like 300 messages a day and I'm like,
If they read your bio, they would know you weren't the right person to reach for that.
yeah. Yeah, top line of my bio, not a recruiter.
Yes. Hold on here. This person did not do a lot of research. That's fair. They don't deserve a response. It's nothing malicious. It's just like you literally do not have the time. Yeah.
Like I physically cannot, and I
yeah, no
I wish
apology.
there was like 7 of me.
They couldn't go through the process of reading your bio to see if you were the right person for it. So, no hard feelings all around, but we're just moving along.
Yeah. Usually what my solution has been is I try to like screen most of my messages, and if I get a lot of similar questions, then I'll make that into a post for people to see. But so hopefully that's been able to help some people or a lot of people.
Yes.
I hope.
Yeah.
So
but you have to be careful and aware of your time, and people need to be respectful of that as well, and understanding you do have a lot going on. Now, I love that you interact with people. That takes a lot of energy. And before we get into the positive, because I want us to lead into the light. I want us to recognize that you always haven't had positive interactions on social media, that at times, especially once you moved into the Blizzard position in particular, people were very open and unkind with why they thought you got the position or who you are or your legitimacy and the type of work that you do. That can really be hurtful. And it's amazing to me still that people feel comfortable writing that on the internet, even when some of them use their actual real name as their account, which is the weirdest and dumbest part to me.
Yeah.
But they do this. And so I'd like to know, like, how does this impact you? Because so many times we can put it up there and we can laugh, or we can say, we can put comments on this, but I want to hear from you when you see comments like this coming in. How does this impact you? How do you react?
So at this point, it's been, well, I'll go back to the first time it happened, because the first time it happened, it was kind of scary. Because I know I've heard, like, I'm very acutely aware of, like, Gamergate and how historically women have been doxxed and had their information leaked online and had horrible things happen to them just because kind of the collective internet mob has decided we don't like you, and this is not gonna pan out one day.
Yeah.
So I was quite nervous about that, especially at that time when I was like a month and a half into my career in the gaming industry, and I was like, oh my god. A screen cap that I posted on LinkedIn has been taken out of context, and Twitter has decided that I have never played a video game in my life, and that I got this position because I must have slept with the imaginary caricature that is my boss, and decided to and got the job just to again be pretty in the corner or whatever it is they thought I did. And so that was horrifying for a couple reasons. One, you shouldn't need because something got taken out of context so easily, and also because even if I had never played a game before and I was completely new to the gaming industry, I know several women who don't play video games that I work with, who are incredible at their job and have become extremely passionate about the industry and really love what it is despite not having a background in it before. So just seeing that is the reaction, and that's the immediate reaction to someone who's new to something, is like horrifying. One, but my immediate reaction was I was very scared about it because I knew it would have like the history of things like this happening before.
Right.
So I immediately told pretty much all of my family members, please untag me from any pictures you have of me. I completely deleted my Facebook. I like did a full search on the web of any information that was about me, and like I made sure that everything was like not available at all because I did not want to take any risks in the slightest. And so that was kind of scary, just that initial wave.
Very. That's horrifying.
And yeah, I luckily didn't actually get nothing serious, or no one tried to do anything horrifying. Is the best way I could describe it. No one tried anything. But the fact that there's people have before was what made it scary. So seeing that happen was like a little disheartening, I guess I would say, because it really, even beyond like the scary implications of it, it was like, okay, so this is how women are still viewed, even in the shadows, by people, by a good chunk of people, because even like,
well, not even in the shadows, if they feel comfortable posting it. That's the part that hurts.
Yeah. I mean, it was still on like Twitter and 4chan and things that are have a little more shade, like cloak of anonymity than LinkedIn, but it was still very much like, okay, this is still just kind of disheartening that like a picture of me in a t-shirt got almost like in this thread, all of the comments are just about my body, and I'm just like, I am like, it was just very like, oh my god, I am a piece of meat. This is how I am being viewed here. And it was just sad, really, is the best way I would describe it. Luckily things have kind of chilled out a bit since that post. Like I'll occasionally get a few, and I think it's been really interesting because it's just been like, I've had some people try to like blame me previously for almost like blame me for it. It's like, well, it's because you work at Blizzard. Of course they were going to make these jokes. And it's like, no one had to make any, no one made,
I'm sorry, but
this is not, no.
That wasn't part of what you signed in the work contract. Yes, people may sexually harass me in the comment section. No.
Yeah. No, and it was just very disappointing because it's like, again, I had so many amazing people that I work with. Yeah. And I have so many amazing people in the gaming industry who are showing such a change. And then it's like, and there's so many parts of the gaming community that I really, really love. And I think seeing this dark side of it in such full force was really like eye-opening is the best way to describe it.
Yes. And again, I get like there's so many emotions wrapped around this. I can't even imagine like seeing all of these, and how, I mean, you've even mentioned before, like you choose what you wear on camera. Right?
Yes.
And you shouldn't, but you're like starting now to police your own body in response to what these people might say.
Yeah, I'm very full coverage pretty much all time. Like, I'm almost always in like a very oversized jacket or a t-shirt or anything, because I just like, I don't want I don't want anything to I don't wanna add fuel to the fire. Like, I know what I'm wearing doesn't affect who I am and
Mhm.
whatnot, but I also don't want scary people with a very mob mentality to
Right.
decide they want to ruin my life,
Yes.
for lack of better words. Like, and I don't wanna
Yeah.
and I I don't know. I really hope all of those people find happiness one day and learn to see women for the amazing people that they are one day and
Sure.
can one day appreciate that women do like video games because they are in fact fun. And that is what I wish for all of these people.
Well, yeah, yes, yes, that's incredibly kind of you. And I think that's a big hope for all of us, right? That we can post our content in a space where we can be ourselves. We don't have to adjust what we wear, what we say for the sake of others, right? To fit in what they think we should be, what our professional, what our personal lives should look like on these ends, that we can allow ourselves to thrive in these spaces, and especially without the fear of being compromised in terms of our safety, whether it's our career safety or personal lives or social safety, all of those across the board. You said, like, yeah, nothing happened. At times it feels like when I hear that, I was like, oh, thank goodness, that's lucky. Instead of like, well, that's the norm. Yeah, the idea is that you always have to prepare. And I know this is a very different mindset that a lot of women have to have in these spaces anyway, where we have to think just in case. Because if you're not preparing, then sometimes it turns back on you again to say, like, well, why did you leave that up? You shouldn't have had like your digital
Yeah.
footprint there, right? No, and it's not, it's a horrible place to be in. And so like there's this balance of trying to change the norm and still maintaining the need to protect ourselves. So like being aware of what you want to wear, like I completely understand that, because you are not in a space where you are safe enough to be yourself comfortably, whatever. And maybe you just really also, I mean, who doesn't love a good oversized jacket, right? That's also a really great fashion choice that I 100% back and I love. But if you ever wanted to wear anything different, that you could without fear of backlash. Like if it's still, you're representing professionally, wearing a t-shirt should not be a problem. What if it has a v-neck? Fine. A lot of shirts have v-necks. And
The
you should be able to wear
scandal.
it. But the scandal. Heaven forbid if you even like show your shoulders,
It's like I know.
but
Maybe I'll like get crazy and show an ankle at some
oh my
point. Who
gosh.
knows?
No.
But
Listen, I'm sure you have the hottest ankles around, but people
thank
should be
you.
able
I really appreciate it.
Yes.
But yeah, it's one of those things where something I like to say is like
Mhm.
I like sure it sucks right now, but
Yeah.
me giving into this and shutting up and not doing that is not going to help anything. And maybe it would just be like a li- if I'm just like present in there and show is like, hey, I'm what a woman looking in the video game industry looks like. It'll
Mhm.
just be like a little bit easier
Yeah.
for the next generation of women who are working in gaming because we're not going away.
No.
If anyone is, because it'll just be a little bit easier.
We're making progress, and we are. And I
We're
love
getting
that.
there.
And let's note that these comments are diminishing for you. Like you are making a big change. Your community, you're very active on LinkedIn. A lot of people love engaging you. They find your information helpful, insightful, a great place to learn how to improve their own spaces and where they are in their professional lives. So what you've been building here isn't just, I don't even want to say small steps. Like you're doing a lot to change and establish yourself here. And it's not so much in saying like, to show them like, look that you've made it, but to look at the others who need that inspiration. I don't want it to be like in rejection of the negativity, but in response to the positivity that this is such a wonderful place and you've done such a great job at focusing on that. Now, you mentioned, of course, that recently you got a message from someone who really changed their life. They got a different job of where they are, but you love interacting with the comments. What are some of your favorite types of interactions that you see going on in your comments section? Because especially on LinkedIn, like you're on fire on LinkedIn, right? Like, dang, I'm going to post in your TikTok comment section. So we'll get that going. But you're
Thank you.
where you just got to post more. Your content is
I know.
good.
I gotta do it.
You know,
Well,
like
the
people
thing
want to
is-
hear from you. So yeah, what is this?
Yeah. So the thing is, okay, so I'm just address TikTok really quick. So the problem with TikTok is, so like with LinkedIn,
Mhm.
I can feel like if I'm pajamas and like in with a top knot and like
Yeah.
write my post and not have to worry about it. On LinkedIn, I have to be cute. Like I have to put on makeup and like
I
have
look
like
put together.
turn on my gamer lights and
Yeah.
like be a human being, like not a weasel ascending from the earth to post on TikTok. I don't know what that metaphor is, but that's why TikTok is my problem child. But I so on LinkedIn, my favorite ones is some of my favorite posts I love to do is I do like I like to call them community posts where I just talk about gaming. So I'll usually like post a picture of just like my setup and the game that I'm playing, and I'll usually ask a question like, "What's your favorite game?" And then I'll talk usually, or like, "What are you playing right now?" And I'll talk about what I'm playing right now, and then just hearing from people. And LinkedIn is usually, even though right now my feed is almost all gaming, LinkedIn's usually not a place where people talk about gaming. Like that's not usually a topic of conversation, and it's really nice to see just people from all walks of life. Like I see attorneys, I see interns, I see doctors just talking about what games they're playing. And like they're all having conversations with each other, just talking about how much they love gaming and what they're enjoying right now outside of work. And it's really like it's really good, especially when you work in the industry. Sometimes you can feel really like stuck and in your head about like, oh, this is like we're doing like super serious business in the business seriousness. And then it's just like, look how much people love what we're doing. And it might not even be specifically what we're doing, but just like hearing about how much joy gaming brings people and being able to read those comments. And like I've gotten so many great game recommendations just from LinkedIn. So I just actually got my first big girl gamer PC. My coworker, Renee Quarter, he's on the story and franchise development team. He does which is cinematics for that.
Shorthand for the rest of us.
Yeah, for everyone else. He built my PC and he did such a great job. And so that's another benefit of working with Blizzard. Your coworkers know computers. And I don't like, it's funny. People ask me what the specs are. I don't know. I just bought it.
I don't know mine either. Don't worry.
And so I've been able to enjoy so many titles that I wasn't able to before because it wasn't something like in my reach. Like I tell people before that I was like MLG Pro on my MacBook Air because I was straight up playing Overwatch on my MacBook Air in 2016. Like I wish I was joking. I was.
Oh man, that's impressive.
Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's been but anyway, what I was getting with that was I've gotten so many great like titles that I've missed out on. Like because I didn't have a gaming PC, I didn't know about Hades until this year. And I found out about Hades like 3 weeks ago before we went on Christmas break. And guess who has 70 hours in Hades now? It's
this
me.
Is your now second time job. Playing Hades.
This is my other job. I'm so excited for Hades, and even with that, I'm so excited for Hades 2 and to eventually talk to more people about Hades 2 because I've been able to just connect with so many people who love gaming just through LinkedIn, which isn't something a lot of people would expect.
But it makes sense. You're absolutely right. LinkedIn for a while was also trying to find itself. Like what kind of conversations occur on here? How do people connect? What are they talking about? And gaming, like the fun stuff, if you will, was not always top of mind. Like you'd see things about charity events and fun things like that, or like office holiday parties, but you wouldn't see like, here's what I'm doing in my spare time. You know, here's how I'm decompressing. And so having something as wonderful and as well loved as just posting about your gaming experience is probably something that people really look forward to because then they get to hear updates like, oh yeah, I haven't heard of this game either. Or they're reading recommendations from other people as well. Or, you know, it's an easy and fun thing to share too, because there's something really exciting. Like I just played this really cool game and it's amazing. And I want to tell people it's a quick, easy share, right? So you're creating a space that people want to be a part of. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's so it's really nice. I think like LinkedIn is kind of like it's kind of awkward and also like dare I say unhinged at times
Yeah.
in terms of its existence as a platform because I think especially with the pandemic, I think because
Mhm.
work and home life really became one and people didn't really know what to do with that at the time and therefore
Yeah.
people didn't really know what to do with LinkedIn either because before at least in my experience it was just like a lot of I just accepted my job offer
Yeah.
at X, Y, and Z company. And then the comments are like, congrats, Dan. And like
That's it.
that was LinkedIn.
You're on LinkedIn if you're
And
trying
then
to find a
after
job, and that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the end of the platform. But I think it's been a really interesting journey and seeing people trying to figure out like finding that balance of vulnerability and accessibility um and like connecting with other people while still maintaining professionalism because I think that's like like it's something I still struggle with. It's still making sure that um like
Yeah.
making sure that everything is still like if the president of my company sees this, am I okay with that? And like that is
Yes.
the question I ask myself
Yes.
because that is a possibility. There is a
Sure.
possibility
Sure.
that Mike will see my posts. So that is
That balance
that
of
is something I ask myself.
professionalism, but professionalism doesn't mean the absence of personality. And I think a lot of people forget that
Yeah.
on LinkedIn or in other spaces, right? Like you can still have life, you can still have fun. You're not going out there, writing LinkedIn posts full of curse words about how you hated this latest game mechanic within it, or there's there's a lot that you're adding that
Yeah,
is
God.
great. Yeah, I didn't like this. This was the worst effing thing I've ever done.
Like, I tagged the actual people that worked on it.
Yes.
Like, gosh, God, I hated this one very specific
You should
asset
be
at the
embarrassed.
individual.
Yeah. I'm calling you
How could
out.
you do this? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a difference in the type of content and people and oftentimes we don't often see it in just like the content itself. Like most of the time people have a good radar to determine, yeah, I should post this on LinkedIn or this is a specific Facebook thing, right? Like, my beach pictures with my family, that should stick to Facebook. They don't need to see me in a very different way.
Yeah.
But where it feels the hardest is LinkedIn is tone, the writing tone. And I love your writing tone. It's professional and still very conversational. I get a sense of who you are, even though you aren't dressed up or whatever. You're the weasel behind the keyboard. I get a sense
The weasel.
the weasel.
That's gonna be my new tagline. Like instead of Blizzard talent marketing specialist, it's a weasel behind the keyboard.
I would love that. Please and thank you. Just on your little name tag, I'm the weasel behind the keyboard. It's perfect. I think weasels are adorable, but the point is there. But I get a sense of who you are. There's a realism in the way you write. There's a vulnerability that's there, and I think that's also a big draw as to why people want to interact with your posts. How did you develop your writing style? Because especially with people when they're first on LinkedIn or when they're in new positions, and you've probably seen these, like they're just dry posts. Like they feel like billboard announcements on LinkedIn, especially when it's on behalf of a company. But even in personal posts from time to time, it's just like, who are you talking to? No one speaks like that. It feels so rigid and just non-unique to who they are. So you've been doing this now for a while and you've put a lot of effort and you've evolved time and time again. How have you come to this position and the comfort level that you do have on social media?
So okay, so in terms of how I develop my tone,
Mm-hmm.
all of my content is I always ask myself, would this be helpful to the past version of myself? And if the answer is no, then I don't post it. Especially if that's like the tone of the
Sure.
post. I specifically write to what did I need to hear? And sometimes that's not and it's almost never not super professionally stated or stated in a way that's completely kosher for lack of better words. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually it's very just me talking like this and I'm like what would I need to hear? What would I have needed to hear and how? Um because I think a lot of things that get lost in uh especially in terms of job search and giving job advice among hustle culture and whatnot. It's like there's a general lack of compassion, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to just be like I could very easily be like, yeah, Sigma grind set, let's go. Here's how I beat all you losers into getting this job in the gaming industry. Getting this job in the gaming industry. It's you just gotta follow my 10-step course.
This
And
just sounds so awkward coming from you. Like you can tell it's just not your natural style.
It does not fit. It doesn't fit. But it's just like, because the thing is, like, there's a general, again, as I was saying, there's a lack of compassion. And I could just say what I did, and I could leave out all of the crappy details. Like, I could leave out the fact that I was trading social media tips for hair dye, or I could leave out that I was dealing with sexism, or I could leave out that like I didn't actually go to school for marketing and I was kind of figuring it out on the run, and that I failed a whole bunch of interviews. But I think like me leaving that out won't help the people who are currently failing all their interviews, or it won't help the people who are stuck in sexist work environments, or won't help anyone who's unsure if what they're doing or what they thought was their dream job and they find out that they aren't enjoying it. Like, I don't think I think, and what I found is I really thought at the time that I was kind of in like a very lonely position, and I was one of the only people who was going through what I was doing. And as I found out, there's a lot of people who have been through what I've gone through. And there's a lot of people who are going through that at this exact second. And it's just because no one posts about it. Right. None of the top LinkedIn people, they're all talking about like, okay, I graduated from school and then I did my Amazon internships and now I work at Google and now I make $2 million by my 10-page book. And I will tell you how to do it. And that's not my thing. And it's just like, I didn't do it that way. Right. That's not, and no hate to any of the grind set content creators. I'm sure they help a lot of people who will fit that mold. But it's been, I think just being able to have that tone, being able to like speak to people has been super helpful.
Sure. Yes. And I think you're right to note, like, there's an audience that you're reaching. And there's different people on different pathways. And for some people, certain ways in which they approach their career is where they're at right now, and that works for them. But you really work to provide and try to touch upon a lot of challenges, and I think that's what helps in so many different people. Or maybe it's not even them, but they see themselves or they see their workplace and they want to be more inclusive. They want to realize, how do I get more people who are driven like you into the door? What are these barriers that you went against that we might be able to learn? So I think on this, it's not just people who are in those spots of where you were, but people who, I think they should. If you're not, even if you're in a place that you do like, follow, because it's a great place to say, how do I make sure that these doors are staying open? How do we create more ways to say, hey, maybe, offering feedback from time to time? How do I offer good constructive criticism? How am I aware of how different issues exist? She talked about sexism in our industry. How does it exist in mine? Like, you're posing points that should be a consideration for anyone in any industry, whether they're going up through it or they're already there and they want to welcome more people there, right? So it's a welcoming point for everyone that we can all get information and inspiration from. I love that.
Yeah.
So you just now need to put it on TikTok. I'm just going to keep pressuring you on this.
I know. I do. I gotta do it.
I mean, the best.
Just motivate me.
I should call myself out. I have a TikTok and I am horribly awful about it. I don't post on mine. It's another thing. I'm like, I don't think about it. And I have to edit differently for it and putting captions on my stuff. And I'm like, I just don't have the energy. I'll put on anything else. Twitter, Instagram, love it. TikTok, I forget about it. I'm on it way more than I should be, but I forget about posting my own stuff. So I encourage you because I think you can do it. I don't know if I can.
Thank you. I appreciate the words of support. I mean, I feel like the beautiful thing about Instagram right now is it's like super fun to be like cool and mysterious, like Alexa Demi type beat, like being like, oh, I only post like once every 3 months because I'm cool and mysterious. When in reality, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just because I've been like all my social activities have been in sweatpants for like the past.
I haven't looked good for 3 months. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, it's totally because I'm cool and mysterious.
Yeah.
And only like, and I can do like my one caption meme line, and because I'm cool and mysterious. And so
I feel like I don't have a chance of going that route, but maybe if I go more of like the Bigfoot type of vibe, elusiveness, maybe I can get away with that.
Cryptid, yes.
Yes.
That's a pretty great vibe. Oh, yeah. That'd be actually a pretty funny account, like just doing like streamers in the wild.
Yes. Like. You catch me like in a frozen position buying chicken broth at Walmart. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is how I picture myself. No, I guess that's one I'm just gonna have to figure out how to evolve my own style a little bit more. But I see you, and I push you on TikTok because I mean I love your content, and if anyone isn't, wonderful Jaws Drop has posted Arin's LinkedIn account for you all there in the chat. Make sure that you're giving a follow because it's great content. You know, it's worthy. There's no fluff on there. Don't worry. You don't overpost either. So thank you for that too. Like it's a good amount of content for helpful information.
I am here to provide helpful information and also pictures of St. Bernards and also video game discussions. Those are all the three. Those are the three food groups
of life
of internet content.
No, we're just gonna go with life. That's all we need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Arin's also in our Discord. So boom, you're everywhere. You exist everywhere.
I hang out. I do.
Well,
I'm lurking. I'm lurking in the Discord.
You're like, she's there. And I'm pushing you hard because you really are a great resource. You're a great inspiration. You have actual helpful content that push people forward, that's easy to engage with. This is good, but also because we're kind of running out of time. And I want people to make sure that they're taking steps to follow you because I'm one of those people that if I don't do it right away, I'm not going to do it. So if you're one of those people, do it now. Get on your phone, give the follow. But I want to encourage people to follow you wherever you want. So I want to open the door for you to say, where do you want people to follow you? How do you want them to interact with you? I know one of my favorite podcasts always says, and say hello. I like it when people say hello. So what do you prefer?
All right. Well, okay. So I am mostly on LinkedIn. All of my valuable information and valuable content that is actually good is on LinkedIn. If you want, and I'm gonna start posting. If you want also valuable content and also memery, and that's a little bit less professional, go follow my TikTok.
Perfect.
And also feel free to leave the comment. Please post more loser. Just so I know you came from here. And from the
please post more loser.
Yeah. So you can search Arin Goldsmith on any of them. I'll pop up. And if you want to see me take fun pictures that are completely useless to anyone other than the fact that I take fun pictures, and sometimes I take fun Instagram stories of Blizzard events. So if you want a more candid inside look at what it's like to work at Blizzard or go to fun events like the Level Up U graduation or like the Game Awards, for example, follow me on Instagram. That is Arin.Sinclair. So feel free to follow me on there. And hopefully my New Year's resolution is to start streaming this year. As I said, this is my first Twitch stream ever. So hopefully next time I'll be able to give you a Twitch handle.
Next time. Keep in mind,
next time.
Come with more questions. It'll be fantastic. Arin, you have been a wonderful individual. I wish I could ask more questions. Your content is fantastic. We wish you the best and keep us updated on your amazing stuff that you do. More Twitch streams, for example.
Woo! Yes.
We'll see you all next week. Thank you, Arin.
Yay!